Hey
Sweet.
everyone, welcome to the Creek. My name is Jared Miller. I'm the ministry lead here, and I'm excited to be able to bring you another Creek conversation here today. I am joined by Nathan Zhang, who is the founder of the Faith and Fitness brand. He is a volunteer with Experience Church here in the South, and he's agreed to have a chat with us tonight about something that he and I are both passionate about, the act of fitness and how it relates to discipleship. So discipleship rather. So Nathan, thank you so much for being here tonight. I really super appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how many of, of the people we have, people here at the Creek are really familiar with Faith and Fitness kind of as a brand, but like, how did you come into this kind of story of, it's a clothing brand, it's an apparel brand, it's a lifestyle
Yeah,
brand. I mean, something, that, you're passionate about. It's a side
right.
hustle.
Yeah.
How did this start? Is there a story, sort of behind it that came out of it?
Yeah. So, I mean, long story short, I've always been very into the fitness athletic world. I mean, I've been working out since I was, gosh, can't really remember. It's been 10 plus years. But I've always kind of really, obviously, fitness is a big part of me, but faith is an even bigger part of me. I've always had this passion to, share with other people about, what I'm passionate about, obviously being faith and fitness. And I remember there was a few years ago, I think it was 5 years ago, and then it just all of a sudden it clicked to me, why don't I share my faith to the same level, to the same degree that I was also passionate about my fitness. And I doing a lot of research, a lot of digging, a lot of like kind of self-discovery, if you will. And then I just found there's so much similarities and bridges when it comes to the both faith part and the fitness part, and from that, I just have this desire to train, to work out with other people together and then tell them about, point them to Christ through this, whether they are believers or non-believers. And then through my home church, Experience Church, they've given me a platform to lead small groups, of fitness small groups. And from there, I kind of just went and kept on going. And the next thing I just, hey, let's, like, me and a couple of friends, we just got together. I think 2.5 years ago now, we just got together and say, hey, let's design a logo. Why don't we design a logo? And from there, and the logo, our logo is an eagle, as a cross, and the two F's back to back represent faith and fitness.
Okay.
At that time, I was chatting with my mom, and then it was telling her about this desire, this heart, and passion I had. And then she gave me this verse from 1 Timothy 4:8. It says, physical activity is valuable, but godliness is valuable in every way because it holds the promise for this life and the life to come. And that just hit me so hard, and that became a staple verse for faith and fitness. I want to tell people that, yeah, fitness is great, but ultimately it's not going to satisfy you. Ultimately, our body's decaying every single day. We need to work out, but also work out not for our own glory, but for God's glory, because we're entrusted with His body. One day we're not going to have this. So what's eternal is bigger than what's temporary. So, and from that, and we started a couple of friends of mine, and we just started designing shirts and T-shirts, and hoping the idea to spread the message of faith and fitness around. And I think I've sold from north of 200 shirts.
Okay.
And then the focus is not like, it's apparel, sure it is, but the focus, what it comes down to, is not really just designing shirts and selling a bunch of shirts and making money. Is really to reach the people that are believers or non-believers alike, whatever their journeys are, and to tell them about, this is the message. And so many conversations, out of the gyms where people are asking me, what does that mean? I have people who ask me, like, who's Timothy, So, the idea is just to engage people and open up conversations. And I've had encouraging, I've had friends that email me, text me, about their testimony, and people asking them questions and, whatnot. And it's truly a blessing and truly encouraging to see that, God's entrusted me with something. And now I'm, making small difference in people's lives. So yeah, that's kind of the 2-minute version of the story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of loved like when people are at the top of their game and they have like I work out at a CrossFit box, and the one of the greats in the sport, Rich Froning, has a verse from Galatians written on the side of his ribs. And I've always wondered, like, how many people ask questions about that, or how many people like I know the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, I wonder what that verse says, and so I looked it up. But I'm sure that when you have a platform that's that big, that many people going, and like, how many of them don't have a Bible on their shelf and to go in and Google what does Galatians 2:20, whatever, I don't know, whatever verse it is, 2:25 say, and this really kind of cool conversation starter. Like, can you think of any kind of conversations that you've gotten to have because of wearing the Faith and Fitness shirt? Or
gosh, tons. There's quite a few ones that actually led to some amazing friendships. To name a few, I think it was a year and a half ago. I go to this gym called Big Sky. It's not a CrossFit box. It's not necessarily a CrossFit box, but also not a good life. It's kind of somewhere in between. It's a local commercial gym, but members are very tight knit, and then people really know each other. And I'm gotten to know a few people there a couple years ago, and then they asked me, is that your brand? Because I see you wear the shirt all the time. And so I start having this kind of same conversation I had with everybody else, telling them the journey and whatever. And then next thing you know, a couple weeks later, the people came, the gym member, and then they were telling me that they met someone at a different location, different gym. So they saw someone that were also wearing the shirt.
Cool.
And then start having the same conversation. Hey, I know the guy who started his brand, and then just kind of through that, and also a couple other conversations I had was just super encouraging in the sense that one time I actually prayed over this person who was at our gym. He was just going through a rough time, and I don't know why. I do know why, but and then he kind of trusted me because he sees the way I'm never about I'm thinking I'm better than anybody else, but just having that relationship, building that relationship, having the conversation, engage, open up a conversation and get to know each other. And through that, I was able to pray over him. His dad was going through open heart surgery during that time. So he had a heart attack and he was going through open heart surgery. But through those conversations, I was able to have a better relationship and earn trust. And that person has actually came to our church a couple of times to check out Experience Church. So I'm very encouraged by that. And
but in a lot of ways, fitness has really become kind of a ubiquitous part of our culture. It's everywhere. Like there's whether it's Orange Theory or a yoga studio or Lululemon, even just as a brand, has kind of inaugurated this kind of fitness culture in our. There was an article written not long ago about things that the contemporary church can learn from the CrossFit box in terms of building community and accountability and these kind of things. As somebody who lives in both worlds, what do you see as kind of the key differences between a great church and a great gym community?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest differences I could think is, any great gyms or great fitness culture, they're great, but ultimately, they're united by they're united by fitness, but the church, we're united by something higher, something more eternal. So we're united by Christ. So to me, the biggest difference between faith and fitness in the sense that, our fitness doesn't matter how fit you are today. It doesn't matter how hard you push yourself today. Our body is decaying every single day. Like it or not, we're all aging. We're all dying every single day. That's just hard truth. But our faith is supposed to, in my opinion, our faith is supposed to go the other way. Our faith is supposed to be on this upward trajectory. Our days are going to be up and downs, but our faith is supposed to go the opposite direction of your fitness. Whereas your our fitness is supposed to be, our faith is supposed to go the other way. So to answer your question, I think the biggest difference is, yeah, gyms and, CrossFit box or yoga studios or anything like that. Yeah, they have a great culture. In a lot of ways I envy that, because they're just such a, encouraging culture I see from most of the CrossFit box I know, and mostly because people know each other, people are doing life together. You have your classes, you have the own schedule, you have your own classes, you have the same schedule. There's a Saturday morning classes, there's a Tuesday night classes. So you get to each other, you get to interact, you get to mingle with each other, you got to, you get to build relationship with each other. So I think that's what our church, the big C church, need is relationship, intentionality, and just simply doing life together, not just a one day a week kind of thing, but make it, a weekly thing, make it, as you can. Yeah, that's what I think.
So like you have a group of guys that I know, like, I've seen on Instagram that work
Yeah.
out together on sort of regular basis and have,
Mhm.
I think it seems like it's like a once a week kind of thing, and you gather, you have this kind of space, and I
Yeah.
know that's a big part of the Experience Church, the church that you go to. I know that's a big part of their culture and
Yeah.
their approach and their model.
Hmm.
Like I've always wondered if the culture at a gym is thin trying to be thick. Like you know gyms love to talk about how interwoven people are, and
Yeah.
I know people who met at their gym, they got
Yeah.
married, they had their wedding at their gym, like that, like
Yeah.
those relationships clearly stuck.
Yeah.
But like when I think about everybody that I work out with, like we're all young, because you have to be to work out.
Yeah. Of course.
We're all upper middle class because you have to be to pay the $200 a month or whatever it costs to
Yeah.
membership at a gym.
Yeah.
We're all relatively healthy because again, you have to be.
Of course.
And so the diversity really kind of lags, I find. And like, I find one of the unique things about being part of a gym community that gets really, that gets results, that really has no problem attracting young people and
Yeah.
connecting, people on an ongoing basis and really getting
Yeah.
to connect and commit long term.
Yeah.
Uh, and being part of a church. We give the church a lot of crap today, but
We do.
but I've never asked anybody from my gym to take care of my daughter, or if
Right.
if I'm having a crisis, the first people I call are not gym people. I love the
Right.
people I work out with. I think they're amazing people. I have a lot of fun with them,
Yeah.
but in a crisis, they're not the people I go to.
Right.
And I've always thought that the strength of the church is that it's supposed to be a place where young and old and rich
Yeah.
and poor and,
Hmm.
well, I mean, men and women, but and slave and free maybe is kind of a redundant piece now, but like that idea of this sort of broad community.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't seen the church, the gym rather, kind of replicate that.
Well, I mean, like from my experience, I remember not that long ago, before CrossFit was a thing, before this group training, hit style gym was a thing. We were, the early 2000. Think about the early 2000, whatever, even the mid, the late 2000. You have the global gym culture, right? You have the people at the gym and mind your own business. You do your thing. You walk in, you do your an hour thing, you walk out. You don't really, unless you're very intentional, unless you're very, relational and chat. Almost you're not going to meet anybody because people are there just to get their sweat out and get it out and leave. But it wasn't until recently, until CrossFit started becoming a thing, coming onto the scene. The early 2010s, that kind of shifted everything in the sense that it's all of a sudden we became a family almost. A culture, created a culture where people can get to know each other because you're sweating together, you're working out together, and when you work out together, that bond is really heavy because what you're doing is you're showing everybody your weaknesses. You're vulnerable. You're being vulnerable to the people that you work out with, and you essentially saying this is my physical capability. Doesn't matter they're really good or really bad. You're showing yourself out there, so that creates vulnerability. And when everyone's doing that, create this group vulnerability, and that bonds you so much so quick. And I think that, and then CrossFit really did a good job of creating a community, a true community, not just people who go to the same gym, but people who are, and if you don't show up to your CrossFit class for a week and 2 weeks, stuck home, hey, haven't seen you all the time, right? You don't get that with Global Gym. And I think right now, a lot of other, the Orange Theory or F45s or any of those, pop-up shops or start grabbing, they're taking notice to CrossFit model, and they're going after this community, another one, Fit Body Bootcamp. There's one by my house. I see people going in and out, high-fiving each other, and I think that is changing the game. So in that sense, I think church, obviously, churches, we're united by something that's deeper and way more meaningful. So I think we, as a church, as a community of believers, we have a unique opportunity right now to bring people in and to set people as who they are, as where they are in life, and start doing life with them, and start, and building that community together. And that takes time. It takes intentionality from both sides, and and not everyone's ready for that yet. So that's unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it is. I have seen a great shift from just the Global Gym, get out, do your thing, the YMCA, the Good Life, and the whatnot. Now it's becoming part of the experience for a lot of people nowadays. Going to the gym is having that group fitness training class. Your group mates, your teammates, and it's kind of it's very unique.
You hit on sort of three things that I want to hear more about, because I think that they're really keys. You talked about vulnerability. Yeah. You talked about accountability, and you talked about community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sort of these ideas that are really baked into the foundation of a great gym, that makes I think they're part of the reason that gyms do they have this stickiness to them that a lot of churches struggle with. And and so vulnerability, accountability, and community are kind of baked in a way that they're not in church.
Yeah,
and
it's sad.
So for you guys, and for as you and the guys that you kind of are building this community of faith and fitness kind of with, how do you see those things translating into other areas of your life? I'm kind of going away from the questions that I sent you in advance.
No, absolutely. In a lot of ways, because for the guys that I'm working out with, most of them I see on a sometimes daily basis, right? A lot of them weekly basis, and we have this bond not just by fitness, but we're having Bible studies. We have serve days. Over the summer we had so many serve day projects, and doing like houseworks and chores and helping single moms moves, and those things are the things that kept us together, not just once, twice, or 3 times a week. But the most important thing is that we were serving together. We were doing life together. We were doing house trips together during COVID. So that stands alone, and because we're doing life so much, it creates trust. It builds trust, and with trust comes the freedom to be vulnerable. The trust is there. I could be vulnerable with some of the guys. Nobody's gonna be vulnerable with you if they don't even know who you are, right? So we were doing life together. We're still doing life together. That gives trust, and trust builds into vulnerability, and that vulnerability just draws people in, creates a community. So I think,
that's cool. So like thinking about those guys, and especially thinking about those sort of summer projects that you did.
Yeah.
How do you see the relationship? Like, I've always been kind of intrigued by the relationship between the words discipleship and discipline, because they kind of start the same. But discipline has a pretty nasty connotation in 2020 in our culture. And discipleship kind of gets lumped in with that. Discipleship is not as bad, or doesn't seem as bad, but it definitely seems like it's something that we try to soften it, and we kind of try to talk about it. But like you said at the beginning, the New Testament seems to have an awful lot to say about spiritual disciplines, about building these sort of habits. Like Another verse Paul talks about, sort of shaping his body to be,
Exactly.
sort of more intentional.
Hmm.
This idea of I think it's right before that verse in Timothy. And so like this relationship between these two words is I think such an important part of what your ministry kind of is, that
Yeah.
discipleship and is built on a foundation of disciplines.
Yeah.
But what do you see? How do you see that relationship playing out in your ministry? But how do you see it then? It's also kind of playing out in, like, when you go to work. How does your
Right.
discipline and your discipleship kind of play out?
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate that, both words are becoming kind of tough words to say to people, because that's just not how it's supposed to be. I think, especially in our comfy North American 21st century Christianity, we hate those words. We hate discipline. We hate discipline. We don't hate. We really do not like discipline, because there's almost this notion, especially in my generation, and the younger ones, the early 20s or in the mid 20s, whatever. There's almost this creeping in. There's this idea that creeping into the church that, if it's tough, if it's difficult, if discomfort, then somehow it must not somehow it must not come from God. That is, that can be further from the truth. Anywhere further from the truth. It's I had a hard time with, a lot of people in my life that, just kind of just simply give up, and when it comes to anything that's tough. And I've seen it in the fitness realm, and people jumping from programs to program, to style, and they end up going nowhere because they're not disciplined. They're not putting that on a priority. It's, again, you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. You have to be motivated enough to get up and eat healthy, sleep well, eat healthy, and be consistent with your training, and that goes along with our spiritual discipline when it comes to prayer, when it comes to fasting, when it comes to worship, and a lot more things, when it comes to attend Bible study, going to community groups, and that takes time, that takes intentionality. And unfortunately, we're in a generation of very non-committal, and because we want to do everything that's comfort us and that's easy for us, and if anything that's tough, if anything that's just takes more work, and then it must not be from God, and then I have a hard time with that. So yeah.
I've always kind of loved, it's not really a definition, but Eugene Peterson has this sort of descriptor of what faith and sort of the life of discipleship is, and he calls it a long obedience in the same direction. I've always kind of loved that idea, because it really cultivates for me this mindset of, when you hike up a hill, like when you, or like here in Alberta, like mountains not far away. And if you want to hike up a mountain, there are some crazy people that run up the mountain, and God bless them. That's not me. But like, if I want to get to the top, if I want to see that view, if I want to behold that wonder, it's not going to do me any good to stop partway, or say, this is too hard. It's not going to be worth it, because like, it's just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
And like I grew up, I'm not sure how much older I am than you. I think I'm a little bit older than you, but
I'm 31. I'm 31 this year.
I'm not that much older, like I have a couple years on you though.
Yeah.
But we grew up in this generation of instant gratification. Push a button, get a candy bar. You want to watch a movie, it's there for you. You want to download a song, it's there for you. You want whatever you want, it's there. All of the knowledge in the history of humanity is available on this little black rectangle that I hold in my hand. Everything is immediate and instant, and we struggle to kind of think about how do we live when that's not the reality. How do we find space for things that take a long time, which I started working out a couple years ago because, you know, I was tired of buying new pants because they were getting too tight. Like that,
Oh
like,
yeah.
I figured like buying new pants is a terrible fit,
Yeah.
it's a terrible lifestyle choice. This is, I've got
Yeah.
to try something else.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it was, you know, for me, it was that thing of, you know, I couldn't just show up at the gym one day and, you know, be suddenly fit. It was,
Yeah.
you know, it
Yeah.
was day after day after day choosing
Mhm.
to say, you know, I know I'm tired. Maybe I'll go a little bit easier today, but I'm still going to show up and put in the work because I want to get to the top of that mountain.
Totally.
I want to see that
Yeah.
picture. And so like this idea of counter, like, that really runs counter to the way our culture is kind of wired. And it's weird because our culture is kind of bipolar in this way. Like we love the idea, we love glamorizing fitness. Like
Yeah.
we love, you know, we'll pay $60 for a pair of Lululemon pants. But we're also, you know, we also demand everything right now, or, you know, hell or high water.
Yep.
And that's a weird tension that our culture kind of sits in.
Right.
And so particularly sort of in your mentorship role with some of these guys, what do you see for them? What do you, you know, 60 years down the road, if you ran into one of them again, what would you want for them to say was the takeaway for their life in the church from their fitness kind of capacity? Or, like, does that question make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I would love nothing more, you know, years, decades down the road, with someone come to me and then, you know, and letting me know that it's because of faith and fitness, they got to taste of community, true community.
Mm.
Got to know, above all, they got to know the Lord, and they accept Christ through a T-shirt that I made, or a logo that they saw, or a conversation that we've had years ago, and somehow changed their mindset and touched their touched them at a soul level. And God, you know, God can do that. God can do anything with the tip of his finger. He can just do that at a moment. He can do that. He can change hearts. And if you know, if I play a small part in directing, pointing someone to Christ, and man, that's unbelievable. And I've seen people already. I've seen, you know, some guys, you know, a lot of guys getting connected to our church community. As you know, there's friends close friends now I've met at our gym, and then we just started work out together. And the next thing you know, and they asked me if I'm a believer, and like, yeah, you know, I was just, and then the next thing, one thing leads to another, and they're start coming to our church and getting plugged in, getting community. And that's amazing, just what God can do through little obedience of, you know, yeah, this is my faith, I want to constantly share it, and not being afraid of what people think of you, and just boldly proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ, and what God can do through that. It's pretty incredible. It's honor to just to be at that spot. So I would love nothing more to hear people's life, people's eternity have changed, people's destiny have changed because, you know, faith and fitness. That's the whole essence of why I'm doing this.
That's awesome. What a great heart for that kind of mission. Like, that's, you know, that I love the sort of the intentionality behind it, that, you know,
Yeah.
you're being you, sort of on mission with Jesus, figuring out, you know, how to use the skills that you've
Yeah.
got to have kingdom impact. I think
Yeah. Totally.
that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Nathan, how can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about faith and fitness, or if they want to plug in other ways?
Yeah. They can find me on, you know, on Instagram, faith and fitness YYC. Shoot me a DM if people want to come work out with us. I'm always down for, you know, more group workout sessions. And if they want to kind of get in touch and with kind of like the discipleship kind of side of things, you know, we have a group of guys that we're doing life together. We have, you know, Bible study every week, and, you know, we hang out. If there's more guys that are looking for community, we would love to have you, and just being part of the brotherhood that we've created, you know, and yeah, I think that's the biggest piece. So
Awesome. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We'll put a link to your social in the description of the video as well. And for you who are at home watching this, wherever you're really watching this from, I hope that you will consider some of what Nathan has said and how these sort of ideas of accountability, vulnerability, and community might start to bear fruit in your life. If you have any questions about this, you want to shoot us an email here at The Creek, you can do that, jared@thecreek.life. Make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, and make sure that if you think this video might benefit somebody that you know and love, that you share it with them as well. For now, take care of yourselves and take care of each other, and all the best. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.